We could all use more conversations that create miracles. What is a miracle other than a shift in perception? Shifts in perception create change. That's magic, baby. So this is just a short video to get your pistons firing. It's not a lecture. You should already know something about astrology if you're going to get anything out of this. So as you can see, if you shift the perception just a little bit of the camera, you can see that this is actually a wall hanging and there's a wall here. This isn't real. So a little shift of perception can reveal quite a bit. Knowing yourself is key to, understanding the world, life, having inner peace. And we can only meet another person as deeply as we've met ourselves. Another person can only come and meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. So let's get digging. Who are we? What is our programming? Why do we make YouTube channels? To create our own programming, because we've had so much false programming. So we want to get to understand, what is the real programming? Who creates it? The collective? Do we do it on our own? So let's start with the houses. In astrology, you have 12 houses. The first house is Aries. On a clock, it's situated between 9 and 10 o'clock, and it goes counterclockwise in a precession. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. After Cancer comes Leo. After Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. So you can take that precession as like when you get up in the morning. First you have Aries, sense of self. Who am I? That's Aries. It's number one, get things started. It's a fire starter. Then you have Taurus. What am I gonna eat? What am I gonna wear? What am I gonna smell, touch, feel? It's all about the senses, being on planet Earth. And then you have Gemini. How do I think about this? The brain wakes up after you eat something. What am I gonna do with my day? How am I gonna sort everything out, all this information? And it might make some drama faces. How do I react with that, with these thoughts? And then these reactions with the drama faces lead into deeper feelings in the Cancerian house, the fourth house, where you're deeply feeling, you're just feeling everything and getting very sentimental. And then you have Leo, where you're feeling everything, so you want everybody else to shine. You want everybody else to feel good because you're aware that everybody's feeling, not just you. And then you have, after Leo, and the pride that comes with that, of feeling that you can make a difference and helping people feel better and to shine. After Leo comes Virgo. Virgo is all about work and perfecting things. The details of it. So let's see how we can perfect this and make everything better and work hard at it. And then you have Libra. Okay, let's see how we can partner up with other people to make everything more balanced in this perfection. And then that moves into Scorpio, where you're like, okay, let's look at everything really deeply here. Everybody, the social dynamics, let's really dive deep and meditate on all this in the dark and see what comes out of this. And then what comes out of that is December Sagittarius. Let's aim for the stars. Let's have understanding, right? Sagittarius is about this global understanding that you got from going in the Ganunda Gap, black pitch darkness of Scorpio. So you come out of that into Sagittarius, the understanding, global understanding, aiming for the stars, charging away, having goals, knowing where your aim is. And that moves into Capricorn, where you'd want to climb the ladder, rise to the top, make a name for yourself, get the material substances to show for all the work that you've done. Climb that ladder, be the boss. And then that moves into Aquarius, where you're thinking about all of humanity. How can I respect everybody's individuality? How can we help everybody through inventions of new things and rebelliousness, new order, can't be pegged down and don't want to be pegged down kind of thing. Let's just be neither here nor there and very unique. And then Aquarius moves into Pisces, the retired shaman, this global view of, okay, I understand everybody and let's just have some peace. Let's just be nice to one another. Let's be kind. Let's go meditate. So you can look at it like that. That's how a lot of people are taught to look at it, because it's houses 1 to 12 and we're programmed to do things in order, 1 to 12. Well, what if we just shifted our perception and took it from 12 to 1, which is how things really work from our subconscious. And the subconscious, while we're going from 1 to 12 with our ego, our subconscious is going from 12 to 1, and it moves a lot faster. So that would be going clockwise on the chart instead of counterclockwise. And if you start at Pisces, you're starting with the collective subconscious. The illusion also, Neptune rules Pisces, right? So everything starts from there. And then that moves into seeing how you're unique and how everybody else is unique and how we need to respect that. And getting to that place of being neither here nor there, just having that uniqueness and finding a new way to proceed. So out of Aquarius comes Capricorn. So with our new way, we decide, okay, we're going to be the boss. We're going to find out how we can use things to benefit us and have something to show for it. And then from Capricorn, go to Sagittarius. And from that place, we're going to get understanding. Because now we've worked hard, we've risen to the top of the ladder, and now we're going to see from the top of the ladder this big global understanding, and we're going to see that goal that's a bit further, that star that we want to aim at, the centaur, shooting for the stars. And then from Sagittarius, going backwards, we go into Scorpio. Scorpio, as they're aiming for the stars, what happens? You're in the black of night and you're feeling. You end up just in the feels. So you end up in that blackness again, that death, that transformation that Scorpio rules. And then through that transformation, we end up thinking more about partnership again and rethinking everything. Instead of me just charging for that star, hey, look, there's everybody here in Libra, and let's think of how we can coordinate everybody all together and in partnership. And then we'll move back into Virgo, perfect this stuff, work really hard at it, and details. And then that moves back into Leo, where we get to shine after having worked through all the details and be proud of all that work that we did. And then that moves into home, where we feel at home, Cancerian, which rules the home, comfort, the feels. And then that moves backwards, which is the real forwards, in my opinion, or they're both moving the same way. So from Cancerian, the feels, it moves into thinking, It's the feelings that generate the thoughts. And analyzing everything, that's what Geminis do, and getting the drama faces from it. And then that moves into Taurus. Okay, let's ground ourselves and have something to eat and observe a nice sunset and just sit by a tree and observe nature, the senses. And then we move into Aries, where we find ourselves and become a whole person. So just because one person tells you to look at something one way, it doesn't mean you shouldn't look at it the other way as well. Because the more lenses of perception that you have, the more angles you're able to view something with. And that's how you get a view from outside of the box. So the other thing that's really going to shock you, or maybe not shock you, is, as NASA said, astrology is BS because the sky has shifted. And Placidus, who made the tropical version of astrology that we're all so used to, is completely off. We're off by about a month. Because there is a precession on the planet as it's turning on its axis with the wobble and the this and that. Everything shifted a bit and people got lazy to do the math and correct it. And so we have a Vedic system of astrology, which is closer to the truth in terms of technicality. And we have the tropical system that most of us Westerners use, which is off by a month. So the reason why I made this video is so you can think about yourself and the people that you know, and all of the prejudices that you have about yourself and other people due to the programming that you have, and to examine that programming, examine your ego, because your ego likes the programming that it has. That's its comfort zone. And you're probably going to prefer your tropical system because that's what you were programmed as. And so when you look at the Vedic system, and say if you're Aquarius and you find out you're a Capricorn, you're like, I don't want to be a Capricorn. I don't identify with that. Hell no, that's not me. That's your ego talking. Because in reality, you're a sign before. But it doesn't mean that you don't have another planet in your sun sign. So say if you're Aquarius, you find out you're a Capricorn, you're like, so then why do I identify so much as an Aquarius? Well, say you have your Venus or your Mars or your Moon in Pisces. That makes it in Aquarius in Vedic astrology. So you do have that sign in your natal chart. It's just coming from a different place. Or say you don't have that sign in another planet, but you may have a whole bunch of signs in the 11th house, which is the house of Aquarius. So you still have a huge Aquarian influence. So it's really interesting to look at, because when I examine it, both are true. We have in the collective unconsciousness people that we know of certain signs that are typical and textbook, and we say, yeah, astrology is real. So, because we've come to accept certain people, looking at them as that sign. But is it really true? So I want to play around with this a bit. Like, let's look at Pisces. In Vedic astrology, they're the real Aquarians. If you think of the Pisces that you know, typically you think Pisces, you think, okay, the expression drink like a fish came from Pisces because a lot of them are alcoholics. You think, oh, they feel everything. Oh, they're very caring about everybody. And they tend to be in illusion a lot because they're ruled by Neptune. And so if they're the real Aquarians, they're actually the weirdos, the unique people, the ones who really care about all of humanity a lot. And it makes sense, you know, the Pisces people tend to be a lot more kind than Aquarians. And I don't think it's because of the water and the air thing. I think it's because Pisces are really the true humanitarians. Then you have it's like, I know so many Pisces that are total weirdos. Maybe they are the real Aquarians. And if Aquarians are actually Capricorns, think about that. You have so many Aquarians working hard. They're very entrepreneurial. There's a lot of Aquarians with YouTube channels, probably more than any other sign. They're very industrious. They work hard, and that's a Capricorn-y thing. So it makes sense that Aquarians are Capricorns in that sense. Aquarians are pretty down to earth, tropical Aquarians. And it's because in Vedic, the real technical placement is in Capricorn. So we might seem like we're aliens in outer space because we're Aquarians, but we probably have that placement not in our sun sign, but in some other planet, or we have planets in the 11th house. If we have these Aquarian aspects, but in Vedic astrology, we're actually a Capricorn, so then check in your chart, where is your Pisces? And in Vedic astrology, that's going to be where your Aquarius is. So it's really interesting examining this. So think of the Aquarians, and see if you can't find Capricorn traits in them. And then look at the Capricorns that you have and see if you can't find Sagittarian traits in them. See, Capricorns that I know are hard workers, but I know less Capricorns as entrepreneurs than Aquarians. So back to Capricorn, they work hard, but they're like climbing the ladder type, and they're always learning more about whatever they're working on. And that learning that they're doing tends to be pretty structured, and they're also interested in a lot. They're interested in more than what they're focused on at work, which is very Sagittarian, to have like a global understanding. And they're also like, you see a Capricorn as climbing the ladder, but you could also perceive it as shooting for the stars, like the centaur of Sagittarius. That's the similarity. You see them as grounded because we were programmed to believe people born in January, end of December, are grounded, hardworking Capricorns. But what if you saw them as warm centaurs shooting for the stars? Because that's what they are in Vedic astrology. And then take the Sagittarians, and Ophiuchus, we won't even talk about that in this video. So think about the Sagittarians, they're programmed to believe they're shooting for the stars, they're warm, they're funny. And then think of what they are in Vedic astrology. They're the real Scorpios, right? So that's a real mind warp there. So who you thought was the Scorpios are actually the Sagittarians in your life. They're the deep feelers, the people who you perceive, because you're programmed to perceive them as looking at everything globally, to have global understanding. They're actually the Scorpios diving deep into the darkness and having a feel for all the social dynamics of everything, and an understanding of not just social dynamics. It's just that Scorpios are really good with that. But they're actually going into the dark to get all that global knowledge and understanding. And we also perceive Scorpios to be highly, highly intelligent. And that's actually the Sagittarians. So it's like a big mind warp. And look at the Scorpios that who you perceive to be Scorpio, all black. And they've programmed themselves too, because they were born to behave. This is your chart, you're a Scorpio, you're about death and sex and transformation and black. And they're like, yeah, I like black, I'm Scorpio. But are you really? If you have a whole bunch of planets in the 8th house, you still have a huge Scorpio influence, even if it turns out you're really a Libra. Or if you have planets in Sagittarius, they're actually going to be in Scorpio in your sidereal or Vedic chart. So you probably still have that Scorpio. It's just you're actually a Libra, your sun. And so everybody that we perceive, that we project, that we see as the Scorpios in our lives, just play with this. Have some fun. Get the pistons firing in your brain. See all the Scorpios you know as Libras. Like, this is actually all false programming we've had our whole lives. They're really Libras. Why? Well, Libras are great with social dynamics, and that's how we perceive Scorpios to be. So it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Scorpios, I've noticed, they don't tend to lie so much unless it's a white lie, but they never will say things in a super harsh way unless they want to sting you, you know? And that's typically what we see as Libra. You know, Libra wants harmony with the whole social setting. Everybody, they just want the group to be good. They have a high intelligence with that. So there's like there's that similarity. There's more of a similarity between the adjacent signs than we realize, is what I'm coming to see, because I could see everybody as both now. And it's interesting with this, it's kind of like a kaleidoscope lens of perception that we're playing with. And it's like, even though it shifts, it's still the same. It's interesting. It's like all these planets will shift, but then if you look at the whole picture of your whole natal chart, you'll still have the same elements. It's just things are coming from a different place than you thought. And so it's interesting to work the mind like this to get over your ego and just question all of your programming, where you believe that you're so sure and you're so right and you know, and I know this about myself and I know this. Question it. It doesn't mean you're wrong, but maybe it's coming from a different place and you can learn more, you know? It's really interesting. At least I think it is. And I notice Libras, tropical astrology, standard Western astrology Libras, they tend to lie. I've noticed. They're like you love a Libra because they'll give you nothing to hate them for until you find out that they've just been keeping so much behind their back for the sake of peace and everything. And you know, if the Libras were really Libras, would they really be able to lie like that? I don't know. See, the Libras that we perceive as Libras are really Virgos. They're the actual Virgos. And Virgos are perfectionists. Perfectionists would, you know, they wouldn't like to admit that they lie, but they would want to appear perfect. Perfect and pure. Not a speck on them. And so it makes sense. It makes a bit of sense. Libras work hard. Virgos are the hardest workers in the zodiac. And if you look at all the Libras that you know, are they not the hardest working? Like in terms of the grind, you know, and putting in the details. You have Virgos, that's a hard worker. Capricorn's really hard worker. I mean, we have hard workers in all the zodiac, but typically Virgo, hardworking materially with the hands. Capricorn wanting to be the boss, climb the ladder. And you have like Aquarian, entrepreneuring star. And Leo's industrious too. Anyway, a bit off topic. So Virgo is the real Libra. I mean, Libras are actually Virgos. So think about that. All the Libras in your life that you thought you knew so well as Libras, try and see them as a Virgo and see if that doesn't make sense. And then all the Virgos in your life, see if it doesn't make sense to see them as a Leo. Maybe they're so hardworking and perfecting everything because they actually have pride of wanting to be their best and wanting you to be your best as well. And just having that wanting to rule. You know, they rule the jungle through the hard work that they do. Then you look at the Leos that you know that you thought were Leos, try and see them as Cancerians. That was a big eye-opener for me, because you see Leos as so outgoing and so likable, and they usually have a happy face on, right? But if you see them as the actual Cancerians, it's because they feel so deeply that they want everybody else to feel good, and it's really important for them that they're in a good place emotionally, shining, and that you are too. Because if someone isn't feeling good, the Leo is going to make sure that that's not going to happen. You know, the Leo takes responsibility for people's feelings and how things look, because that affects how you feel. So try and see these Leos, and we all know they have this emotional kind of craziness to them. It makes sense that they're actually Cancerians, and that's where their emotional craziness comes from. They're not fire, they're water. What a mind warp. And then look at the Cancerians that you know, with their emotional eyes. You say, how could we be wrong? You know, there's no way. All the Cancerians I know have these deeply emotional, watery eyes. It can't be wrong, you know? Well, in Vedic, they're actually the Geminis. So Geminis. So actually Gemini is the drama faces. And when you look at a Cancerian face, people the Western world, tropical Cancerians, we see those eyes and it's a drama face. They're actually the Geminis. All the Cancerians I know are either laughing or crying while laughing. They're like, there's so much emotion in their face, but they're actually sharp thinkers, and thinking back and forth, and then they're either like completely happy or completely upset. And so that's really, how much of a mind warp is that? These watery people in your life are actually air signs. And then you have the Geminis in your life. You thought they were Gemini, and it turns out they're Taurus. How can that possibly be? Think about the Geminis, you know, do they not love really good, high quality food? Are they not all really good chefs? Because they're actually Taurus. They like the senses, luxurious comfort. Any Gemini I know anyway, and that is a Taurian trait, because all the Geminis we know are actually Taurus in Sidereal Vedic astrology. And then we have finally, you know, two more, Taurus. Look at the Taurus people in your life. Think about who you know who's a Taurus. And you say, how can they not be a Taurus? They love food. They love the home. So we're programmed to see and believe them like that, and they program themselves to see and believe themselves like that. So we're all living on these programs, and it's true. Yeah, Western Taurus is a Western Taurus. But in Vedic astrology, they're Aries. How can this be true? Think, are all these Tauruses that you know actually, don't they have some warmth to them? Could they be fire and not earth? Are they not all really good at starting things? Do they not all move a little faster than what Taurus is typically supposed to be? Another thing is Taurus is the bull, the bullion, money. And Geminis tend to be all about that too. The fact of Taurus is the Geminis are actually the bull. And so Taurus, are they really so slow and steady with the money and the senses and food? I find the Tauruses I know, they love food, but they don't love as high quality food as the Geminis I know. They're not true foodies, even though they think they are. And so it makes sense to me. And the Tauruses I know are, they're instigators, and that's very Aries. They like to make first moves. They're the chasers. They are the fire starters. So, and last but not least, Aries. So think of all the Aries that you know, who you thought to be the baby of the zodiac. They're actually the grandpa of the zodiac. They're actually Pisces, the retired shaman who has been there, done that, and who knows all of you. And we're there perceiving them as fire starter, maybe selfish, me. No, they're not like that. They're any Aries that I know is very sentimental, very sentimental. They have a hard time letting go of the memories, sentimental memories. So they're living in illusion a lot like that. And that's at least from my perception. You tell me in the comments how this little exercise worked for you, thinking of the people you know as one sign earlier. And tell me if you didn't have fun with this or not. Because a shift in perception is a miracle.